Mate, what do I need to win?
2 triple 20s and a bullseye.
Good luck. You know, Rupert, guys have underestimated me my entire life. And for years, I never understood why. It used to really bother me. But then one day, I was driving my little boy to school, and I saw this quote by Walt Whitman. It was painted on the wall there. It said, "Be curious, not judgmental." I like that. So I get back in my car, and I'm driving to work, and all of a sudden, it hits me. All them fellas that used to belittle me, not a single one of them were curious. You know, they thought they had everything all figured out, and so they judged everything, and they judged everyone. And I realized that they're underestimating me. Who I was had nothing to do with it. Because if they were curious, they would ask questions. You know? Questions like, have you played a lot of darts, Ted? Which I would have answered, yes, sir. Every Sunday afternoon at a sports bar with my father from age 10 until I was 16 when he passed away. Barbecue sauce.
I may be biased, but this scene from Ted Lasso may be one of the best scenes in recent television history. Aside from reminding us how food can transport us back in time, more importantly, it reminds us to always be curious. Asking questions is a skill we learn very early in childhood, particularly ones that begin with why. But that curiosity is often stifled by the desire to appear informed, smart, and competent, particularly in the workplace. Ashna Patel refuses to abandon that curiosity because she knows that asking questions is the most critical skill on the journey to success. That curiosity has led her to be recognized multiple times as a top influencer in customer success, and she's determined to help others develop their own sense of curiosity. This week on Next in Queue, we discuss why she co-founded CS Insider, what customer success entails, responsibilities of customer success managers, the most important skills for customer success managers, resources outside your company for professional development, one question to ask new connections in your network, and a free resource to help guide and spark curiosity. Let's get to it.
Welcome to Next in Queue, the podcast for contact center and customer experience professionals. Next in Queue is brought to you by Happy 2 Vision. Eliminate blind spots and see right through every conversation with Happy 2 Vision. Learn more at ajppitu.com. Now, here's your host, Rob Dwyer.
Hey everybody,
Hello.
Thanks for joining another episode of Next in Queue. Today, I'm joined by Ashna Patel. Ashna, how are you?
I am doing great. The weather is nice. We're heading into a long weekend. I cannot ask for more. Doing great. Thank you
That
for having
is,
me here, by the way.
yeah, it's so great to talk to you. Now, we really haven't had an opportunity to talk a whole heck of a lot before
hmm
this, but I have had an opportunity to see some of the things that you're doing, and you are all about customer success and growth and customer success. And so that is why you're here. And that's what we're going to talk about. You do, first of all, how do you fit all of the things that you do into a day? That's what I want to know. You have a secret that you can share with me that's
Uh,
not related to customer success, maybe just time management?
It is a lot about time management, prioritizing, and then, when you're passionate about something, I'd say you tend to find time.
Hmm.
That's the easiest answer. When you're passionate about something, you can find time. So that's
Well,
basically what it is.
you are so passionate about customer success that you're actually a co-founder of CS Insider, which has
Yeah.
all kinds of tools for customer success managers and leaders. So tell me a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, CS Insider, it's been what, 2.5 years since we've founded that. It was me and Brandon Sestron, our other co-founder, and it just kind of started with an idea that there's so much content out there that people are providing, and why can't we create something that consolidate all of that into one? It could be a report or something. It just could be our own little customer success related thing, and we can serve our audience, which is looking to break into customer success, coming from different background, um, or looking to grow their careers in customer success, which is what I am all about, like a growth, and that's just makes me so happy. And then also being a first time leader, again, growth and just all that, in customer success. So that's kind of how it started. So we've got, I mean, there's so many things with CS Insider, I would say, because, and I'll tell you this, Brandon is a bank of ideas. He can never, like, ideas does not stop coming from him. So every time he's like, "Oh, we'll do this," and it's amazing to be working with someone that's so, what, at your level of excitement about things, and he's amazing with the stuff that he does. But it's a lot about, I mean, we've got mixers that they do, which is a networking event that they host. I think it's a once a month. You just come in, and we do it on a gather round, and it's basically just to kind of get to meet with other customer success people. It could be breaking into CS or in CS, and it's a lot of informal, kind of like a gathering and networking. People even call it speed dating in a way, because you really get to see a lot of people. So there's that. But we have newsletter that we sent out. We have, authors that are writing great posts about all the areas of customer success that we're looking at. We'll do events. There's specifically for break into customer success. We've done workshops. We've done panel, and I mean, there's just great things, and it's. I'll tell you this. All of this is pro bono, or people just are ready to do contribute for free, because people are as excited to share their knowledge as they are to learn. And then I think that's what CS Insider is just all about that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's fantastic. So I try not to make assumptions about how many episodes that people have listened to. And so I've asked this question of another guest before, but I'm going to ask you. Let's just start with, what is customer success? Tell me what the role of customer success is.
Ooh, that is a great question. I think, there's multiple different ways of defining customer success, but like the easiest way I would say is customer success. It's like, I think I've even like, there's one time I even drew something on it. It's like your journey between, you're taking your customers, the journey between customer expectations to customer satisfaction. And it's, if you think about it, it's like how it's not about, you should know the outcome. It's not about the outcome. Customer success is the outcome. Like you want to have, you want them to be successful. That's an outcome, which again, it can be different for based on industries and who are your customers, your product, and all that good stuff. But it's about the journey. It's about the experience that you're going to provide them. That is. So it's like when you take them through that journey, and that's where the customer success, first and foremost, it is not just a role of a department. It is across the organization. Big believer on that, from starting from when your prospect is knocking your door, when marketing is going out there in the trade shows and trying to find leads and stuff, through working through SDRs and sales and post sales, and up to product and marketing and support and all those people, finance. Everybody's involved in customer success. So, the key metrics that we talk about in customer success, and growth, retention, satisfactions, and all those, everybody of the organization is responsible for that. And when you have that mindset in an organization, you can push for the right type of customer-centric customer success. So, I mean, I'm sure I can Google and give you a perfect definition of it. I'm sure, but this is my way of kind of explaining. It is not a customer success manager is a role that handles, and I'm going to say it, part of customer success. That is responsible for the part of customer success. Customer success as a whole is responsibility of a whole organization, and it's a mindset that needs to come top down in your organization, and so that's what it is. It's the journey that you provide your customer from very beginning until the end, and ongoing.
Yeah, this is an ongoing theme on the show, I think, which is thinking about being customer centric, right? And that
Mm-hmm.
is not something that is delegated by a role. It is something
Mm-hmm.
that's in an organization's DNA. And so,
Yeah.
whether you think about customer experience or whether it has to do with marketing or
Mm-hmm.
sales or success or operations or finance, like all of those different departments impact the customer, hopefully in a
Mm-hmm.
positive direction in your
Exactly.
organization.
Yeah.
And when we're all thinking about how we make those impacts, we can make really good decisions that ultimately will make really excited,
Exactly.
happy customers that are going to sing our praises.
Yep. That's what, and you've described it perfectly there. And so think about it, like what is being customer centric? Is it cannot be done by a department or a role, because it just an example, if customer success managers or customer success team is providing excellent service, going above and beyond, being customers advocate and consultant, and giving that amazing service that customers expect, and then but then on the other side it doesn't align with support, or it doesn't align with sales, that's not being customer centric. That's not the experience, because customer is not expect when customer looks at your organization, they're looking at it as a whole. So when you're
Mhm.
providing a service to the customer, you should be looking at it as a whole. It
Mhm.
can't not, you know, there should not be any misalignment in terms of the experience that you're providing between departments. That's why that mindset needs to be there, because customer is not going to know or not going to care that I'm going to get this type of service from sales and I'm going to get this type of service from support or success. No, when they come to you, they should all they care about is I have this situation or I have this challenge. I need a solution. Can you provide me the solution? What's the process of providing the solution? Everything else that happens has to happen behind the curtain. So that's and when you have that mindset and when you can implement that mindset, that's when I think the true customer centricity comes in place, when everybody is on. No, we're all part of this retention game. We're all part of this satisfaction game that we need to provide to our customers.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So now that we've established that, let's talk about some responsibilities that are common if you're in a CSM role. What kinds of things, like what does a typical day to day look like if you're in that role?
Yeah. I mean, I can sit here and tell you about so many responsibilities, and you'll also probably hear this. There's a lot of gray lines as well when it
Mhm.
comes to customer success roles, because it varies. And I think the biggest answer in customer success, it depends, because it truly does depends on the company, the industry, the product, that the complexity of the product, the type of segmentations that I mean, there's the list can be ongoing, but at the end of the day, is most of the time in a general general environment, customer success is usually post sales. Now there are companies and industries or where the customer success roles can be introduced pre-sales at the end of the sales cycle, when it's
Mhm.
the customer is about to sign a contract or whatnot. Depends. There are companies, they may have implementation team that comes in, and then customer success kind of comes in place. But if we're talking about just a generic example, customer success could anything, they could have everything from post sale, starting from onboarding, so onboarding, configuration, implementation, adoption, optimization or renewal, expansions, and advocacy could also be part of that. And so all of this could be part of customer success. So right when they sign a contract to become a customer, working with them, and then day to day could look like a lot around, well, having meetings with your customers. It could be your monthly meetings, quarterly meetings with your customers. It could be your EVRs and business reviews that you're doing with your customers. Part of it could be a proactive reach out slot that you may have on your calendar when you're looking at if you have CS tools, if you have reportings and things like that, what are the proactive reach outs that you're doing with your customers, whether based on usages, utilization, health score, other metrics that you have in place, depends. All these are what we call leading indicators that helps work on that adoption strategies. Internal meetings, your one-on-ones and whatnot, but it's a lot around. It's like everything that they do in their day-to-day, it somehow ties back to those leading indicators, which then ties back to their overall North Star, which is typically your retention, growth, expansions, and satisfaction.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, there's a lot going on. I will say, I've traditionally thought of customer success as kind of the group that is focused on, to your point, post sales. And how do we help our customers utilize our products and services to be more successful in whatever it is they're trying to accomplish? Whatever their business is, how can we help them use our services or our products better? Maybe we've got some things that they could be utilizing that they're not utilizing, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So let's talk about first, before we talk about growth in that area, how does somebody get into a role like that? Where are all the CSMs coming from?
I mean, a variety of backgrounds, to be honest, because I feel like if you've been in the service industry, we've seen people coming from health, health tech, or have used health tech or health industry. We've seen people coming from hospitality, from service industries, from ed tech, or from education industry. I mean, there's a variety of background. The goal is that you have the transferable skills that you need in customer success. And a lot of time when it comes to skill sets with customer success, I always like to divide them into you have your hard skills and you've got your soft skills. Hard skills are something that your employer and your leader, your coach, your manager can teach you. It's easy to teach. I can have you sign up for a course, or I can have you log in, just go through a webinar or something. And whether it's about a tool that you're using or whatever, hard skills are easy to teach, I would say. Soft skills are the ones which are usually are the transferable skills that you're bringing from other departments. So even through when I'm coaching, people to break into CSM and things like that, this is something I always talk about: is do a little mind exercise of look at your previous skill sets that you're bringing to the table, look at the skill set that are needed for customer success, figure out the ones that matches, and then write down the one that doesn't match. And I'm sure there's something and somehow that you can learn. There's abundance of resource around you that we can learn and work on it, because the goal is not to be master of a certain skill, is to know and be, just to have an understanding of certain things. So I don't think there's only one area where CSMs are coming from. There's like a variety of area. And even initially, like right now, we've seen it. I think educational industry is where we've seen a lot of teachers specifically coming into customer success with that, and there's a transferable skills right there, because as a CSM, you're teaching, you're coaching, you're consulting your customers. So that becomes a real easy, I guess, transfer in terms of skill sets. And then, and then there's a growth path for you. So that's it's across the industry. I mean, there's yes, tech is there. There's always people coming in and out from tech is there, but we've also seen it across other industries.
Ashna, I just want to clarify, you did not say that customers are like children and that teachers are good at working with children and therefore they make good CSMs. You did not say that. I just want to clarify.
Whoops.
So, but
Oh.
you're right, right? I mean, when you think about the skills that a teacher has, right? I have to adapt to all kinds of different people, right? It doesn't
Mhm,
matter what grade level I'm working with. Every year as a teacher, and sometimes once you're past grade school, right? Then it's every period. I'm
mhm,
introduced to a new group with dynamic needs and motivations, and how they communicate is a little bit different. And that
mhm,
really is like your customer base, who are all
mhm.
different, dynamic, have different needs, communicate in different ways.
Yep.
And so I can absolutely see how people coming from the education space could be really
Yeah.
successful
Yeah.
in customer success.
Communication specifically is one of the biggest one, I would say, is, I mean, you can go deeper down into communication. There's types of, communication, and you drill down to like how do you, communication with negotiation skills, or strategic thinking and communicating strategically, and then analyzing data and I mean, there's multiple different ways that you can drill down to, but communication is at the core of it all,
Mhm.
because what you are doing in your day to day is that you're communicating, whether with your customers, with your cross functional team, your leaders, internally, externally. It's communication at the end of the day. So that is the one skill sets that is, and it's something that I feel like you can never master it. There's always something about communication that you can learn. And I'm still learning. And I've been in customer success for almost 8 years now. So
Yeah.
it's not, and I don't think, and that's the fun about it. There's always something more to learn, but communication is at the center of it
Mm.
all.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those skills that works for just about any role that you're in as well.
100%.
So let's talk about new-ish CSM.
Hmm.
What can first of all, what can I look forward to? What are some different things that I can look forward to as I grow in my career? And then what are some of the ways that I can go about developing myself to become more effective?
That's a great question. When you're working as a customer success, I mean, there's, like I said, we talked about a lot of skill sets, and there's skill sets that you can enhance and work on. Um, but there are certain things, there are certain skill sets that you need to, I guess, enhance and work on. And when you focus on those, and when you're keeping those in your mind, you tend to show those, those, I guess, you tend to show like that you, it's almost like you're ready for that next move. And you'll hear a lot of them. I mean, leading by example is one of them. It's when you are in your role and you're looking to grow, is it's important that you're focusing on, if there is a gap, or if there's a challenge at place, what do you do about it? What's your strategy with it? Do you just bring it up to your manager or your leadership and be like, hey, here's something that we need to work on? Or do you take a step further and do something about it and bring it up to them? I mean, and then you share. If you're trying something, you're sharing. So there's a lot of, it's a little bit of a mindset. You want to have a growth mindset. So when you're looking to grow, you want to have that growth mindset. And there's a lot of things that comes with it. You want to be strategic. Are you being a strategic advisor to your customer? Are you hand holding your customer? Or are you actually coaching and consulting with them? That's one thing that comes to my mind. And then, sorry, I'm looking down here because I've got made specific notes of a couple of things here. Fostering collaborations. It's is it just you working in your day to day, or are you expanding your reach to your cross-functional team? Whether you're looking to grow from a CSM to a senior CSM or enterprise CSM, or you're looking to grow into a leadership role, whichever that may be, are you having those conversations? Are you open about it? Are you continuously investing time in relationship building, whether with your customers, whether with your internal team? Are you learning or continuously working on learning? Learning should never stop, should never, ever stop. And like I said before, there's abundance of resource around you. And especially, and I've said this so many times, when someone is ready to grow in their career, being in an organization and having an opportunity grow in that organization, they're at, they have so much potential because they have people that might already be in that position in that organization that they can learn from. They have the domain knowledge, the product knowledge, and they are comfortable and they're confident in the role that they have, that they can invest time into it.
Mhm.
Are you having these discussions with your manager? Have a growth mindset, but don't keep it to yourself. Talk about it. You don't have to say that I want to go and sign up and be this and that tomorrow. You want to be strategic about it. You want to ask them, here's what I'm aspiring to be. I want to work on skill sets. I want to kind of get a plan of kind of how we go about it and work with them. Make it almost like a part of your plan. If this is what I want to go, I am willing to put in everything I can and I want to. How are you going to help me with it, or can you help me with it? And so have that open discussion. And that's when I think that the growth mindset comes in place. And the biggest thing I'd say is when you have a growth mindset, you want to share. So share with others. If you're doing something, whether you're trying something with your customer or you're working with your customer, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. If you tried a new strategy with your customer and it worked great and you got all praises and stuff, fine, make a generic version of that strategy. Share it with everybody else. Let others be part of that win that you've had, because that is only going to multiply your ability to succeed and nothing more, and it's going to help others. So that's, I mean, there's many other things that just you can drill down into your day-to-day and what you're doing. But I think the biggest one is be open about it, communicate, continue to learn, invest and foster and building relationships, cross-functionally and everywhere. Take advantage of the resources that you have around. Take a figure. I mean, I always suggest people start by, if you are, and I've hired SDRs and moved them into a CSM space. I came from that too, so I know exactly what to do and where to go. And I've suggested, I was like, if you're aspiring to be a CSM from a specific role, and if you have that, you have all of that data around you, take advantage of it. Learn about your product, because if that's what you want to learn about, the role that you want to be in. Imagine if you're going to your interview, you want to start living that role. So how can I start living that role and take advantage of what I want to do? So if I'm a CSM and I want to be a senior CSM, I want to go talk to the senior CSM that I have in my company and talk to them. What does your day-to-day look like? I want to learn about it, so I can then find friction and gaps in my skill sets, and I can work on those. So then you start doing the work that you want to do as being that next phase. And that's when you get whether it's a promotion, career path, whatever, that's what happens. You have to start living it.
Ashna, I'm going to share a secret with everyone. You're not just talking about CSMs. Everything you're talking about, right? Fostering relationships, the growth mindset, taking advantage of resources, working cross-functionally, thinking strategically about where you want to go. These are things that apply to every role that you have and want to get to. And that can be whether you're in product, you could be in development, you could be in operations, you could be in customer success, you could be anywhere in a company. And if they listen to you and do those things, they're going to find that they have a lot of opportunities open up for them, because they're doing things that, number one, open doors. Number two, make people notice them. And number three, make people want them in their part of the organization. Like,
exactly.
I know Ashna, she is always coming up with these great ideas, and she's listening, and she's great to be around. Like, it'd be great if she came over to our part of the business and worked with us. Those are great tips for everyone, regardless of what role they're serving in.
And I think then and the other thing is like when you're in an organization, I would also say it's like you'll find people, like you mentioned, people be your advocate, you know. So
Mhm.
in return, you also want to be their advocate as well. It's a give and take, situation. So don't it's not just about you. It's, in a world of customer success or in general in business, it's about them. It always is about them. So it's kind of like, be their advocate too. And that
Mhm.
happens when you're fully invested in the role, in the department, in the situation, in where you want to go next, and be their advocate. They'll be your advocate, and it's you'll find opportunities.
I think you just used a word there that really is important if you want to be in customer success, and that is to be an advocate. Because really, if you aren't always focused on other people succeeding, in particular your customers, but if you're not focused on other people's successes, then you're probably in the wrong space because that is a
Mm-hmm.
big part of the role is how can I help you be more successful? And again, I go back to people coming from education. That's their whole thing is helping people
Mm-hmm.
be successful,
Be
young people
successful.
be successful. And so that's the kind of mindset that really is required for you to be
Mm-hmm.
good in that kind of role, in my opinion.
No, I agree with you 100%. Because think about a customer communication, a customer conversation, or when you're trying to get to know your customers, is those conversations or those relationships that have been built with your customer based on how can I make you successful are always the one that last longer. And I
Hmm.
have this saying that I always say that those are the relationships that even when contract may end, a contract between two parties may end, your relationship doesn't.
Right.
That relationship still stays because that was built on the foundation was about success, outcome. Let me focus on you. It's about them because that
Hmm.
them is going to give you the result that you need for you and your company. So it's like, and that's why it's very important. You want to be their advocate. They could advocate and consultant and their advisor because they could come back and be like, no, I want this. This looks fancy. I want this. But you have to be the advocate. You have to be their advisor and be like, no, it does look fancy, which is great. Based on what you just explained and what you want to be, how you want to be successful, I think I'm going to go and I'm going to suggest you this. And
Yeah.
that happens when you have that trust, that relationship with your customer. And that too, not just because we're talking about growth and career advancement, this is all good internally and externally. As much as it is with your customer, also applies internally. Also, when you move up, and I've gone the leadership route. So even in leadership, right now I say my team are my biggest high paying, white glove services kind of customers. They're my customers. They're
Hmm.
all, their success is my success. So that same strategy, same mindset applies to them at the end of the day. So in the different parts, if we're just talking customer success or just in general in business, you'll see this. You want to be advocate. That's the way that you want to position yourself. Is the advocate. You want to be advocate.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, we've talked about a lot of skills. I want to talk about some tools that are out there because you're involved in a number of different things that are ways for you to grow. And I think sometimes we forget that there are communities of people that are like minded, and there are ways for us to learn from people that aren't in our company, right?
Mm-hmm,
We may rely a little too much on the people within our company, our direct
mm-hmm.
supervisor, or peers sometimes for our personal development within a particular role.
Yeah.
So I'd like you to talk to us about some of the things that you're doing outside or that people can do outside of the company to help them develop, because I know you do a lot of these things.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I always say this. This is why, you know, there is abundance. I'm going to use this again, but there's an abundance of resources around you, and even free resource. You don't even have to pay anything. All you need is maybe internet and and Google Chrome or YouTube or something, I guess, along the lines of that, just to get started with it. But there is communities, and especially when we talk about customer success, what we say is there's a global customer success communities, and within those, there's a bunch of different small communities. And I'm going to name a few. I'm going to talk about a few here, but there's, I we have I don't know, some of you may have heard about Jan Young. She is with the Success League, and she has her office hours on Tuesday. She does office hours. This is after hours, after work hours. So you don't even have to worry about, messing up with your work schedule. You get done with your work stuff, and then you come out and have a 1 hour full of learning about all things customer success. And we dive into topics, like there's variety of topics that will go in. She'll have people that'll come in and co-lead those sessions, and you learn from there. I know Gango Retain has customer success office hours. You have other communities, Slack communities too, when you can learn about this. Specifically for women in customer success, there's mentorship program. Catalyst has coaching program. And other, the Customer Success Leadership Network has a Slack community. I mean, these are just some that comes to my mind, and there's probably a lot more out there. We've actually built resources on it too. But what I'm trying to get to is this is just an exposure, even if you don't have any of this. And also LinkedIn. LinkedIn is also a great way to, network and also find learning opportunities. Even if you don't have any of this, forget about any of that. You have Google, you have YouTube. There's so much content. There's so much stuff
Mhm.
out there. You have books. If you're a reader like me, I've got tons of books. And customer success, 5 years ago, there was only probably 2 or 3 books in customer success. Today, we have more than 10 to 12 books in customer success just in 5 years. I mean, we're adding books on specifically in customer success day by day. The Customer Success Professionals Handbook, the 7 Pillars of Customer Success, the customer success that was written by Nick Mehta in Gainsight. I mean, there's many more. I can probably name so many more, but there's that. You have books. That's another way for you to read, and not just read books about customer success. Also read about books on leadership, sales, communication, strategy, project management. This is all part of customer success that's going to help you with it. And so when I say Google and YouTube and stuff like that, or even, signing up for some courses, there's free courses and stuff too. You can take those, and it could be, don't just make it all about customer success, also about the skill sets. This is when I was, when I was talking about doing that exercise, what are the skill sets that are missing? I'll give you my example, not even anybody else's. Recently, I realized that I know Excel or Google Sheet, but I may not know so much of it. So I just went in there and signed up for like a advanced Google Sheet data analysis course or something. And I was like, I want to dive into this. I want to learn about it. That's how I learn. You find what you need to, reach out to people, network with people, especially in customer success. If you reach out to someone and ask them, hey, can I grab 30 minutes on your calendar? I want to talk about this particular, situation, or how do you handle red accounts, or, what's your renewal strategy or whatever. 99.9% of the time, they're going to be over the moon talking, to talk to you about this. So that is, I mean, I'm sure there's much more, but these are all, you have all this free resources around you. You just have to take a step one and go into it and figure it out. But it's important to understand your why first. Like, why do I want to do this? How is it going to help me? Is this foundational for my success to what I'm going or where I want to go? Just because that X person signed up for something, or that webinar is that you don't want to sign up. Like, it does that. Do you need this right now in your success? And is this foundational for your success? If the answer is yes, you can find so much resource around you to learn. So that's what I
Yeah,
say.
it really is amazing to me. And this is not, again, it's not specific to customer success, but these different roles or functions within businesses have these different communities that sprout up. And when you find that community of people that are passionate about what they do and getting better at their craft, and what you find is they're passionate about sharing and
Mm-hmm.
passing on knowledge. And so whether it's customer success, and certainly there are communities for that. You can start with CS Insider, find more information there. But it doesn't really matter what you do if you just go and try and find people
Mhm.
who are willing to share, and you'd
Mhm.
be surprised how much people are just willing to say, yes, I will spend an 30 minutes or an hour with you out of my day just to talk
Mhm.
about whatever it is that you are trying to do, whether
Mhm.
that's a new skill or you've got a problem and you want some
100%.
advice. People
Yeah.
are amazingly generous with their time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're so right about that. And there's two advices, call it a networking advice or whatever, whichever ones that you want to call it, that I would give is one is if you are reaching out to someone asking for something, it's like, working with your customer. You don't just jump to, your customer's call and you prepare for that. You go over what that customer is all about and what they're, what do they have to give you and all that. So look into that. What do they have to, what are they saying? Have they are they sharing some content or something along the lines of that? What does that mindset looks like? Then reach out. Don't just jump to it or don't just be like, hey, can we gap time? No, prepare. Come prepared. Come with
Mm.
some questions. That's the best way to do it. Come with some questions. If you end up scheduling a call, this is where second advice comes in place. Is if you end up scheduling a call and once you're done with the call, obviously you want to thank them. There's one question I always recommend everybody ask, and this will help you network more, is ask them who else is in your network that that I could reach out to or you can connect me to where I can learn more about the same or similar topic. That's how you expand your network.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah.
two advices. Come prepared and ask for more.
That that's great advice. And that is great advice. Again, I feel like you're not just talking about customer success. I feel like you're talking about
Any.
everything.
Mm-hmm.
But coming prepared and then asking for more, I think is great advice to really anyone if you are trying to get better at your craft, whatever that
Mm-hmm.
craft is.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we are running out of time, but what have we not talked about yet that you really want to talk about when it comes to growing in customer success?
I feel like we covered quite a bit, to
We
be honest. I
have.
think we have. And one thing I will just mention, just because it's something that came to my mind because we released something with CS Insider recently, but I'm not going to talk about that. But just specifically, there's a skill set and be curious. That's what I would say.
Mm,
Curiosity. If you're on a journey to be successful, whether customer success or any other field or just in general or in life too, I guess I'm being philosophical here a little bit, but be curious. Curiosity, make curiosity your best friends. The curiosity will lead to questions, lots and lots of questions, and questions will lead to answers or answers to success, eventually. So that's the last, I guess, one thing I would focus on is, especially when you're looking to grow, ask questions. Come prepared, ask questions, be curious. Curiosity is going to be the game changer for you.
you bring this up, and I'm going to go ahead and uh, promote a resource that CS Insider has because I think the resource is brilliant. And it is a resource that has lists of questions for you to ask different people based on role. So questions you can ask your peers, questions you can ask your supervisor, questions you can ask people in cross-functional in
Mhm.
different roles, questions that you can ask customers. Like you uh, put together, not just you, obviously the CS Insider community. There were quite a few people that contributed to this, but I think we talk about being curious, and curiosity is incredibly important. But I fear that there are people that are curious and just don't know how to ask the right
Mhm.
questions.
I agree.
And so you've put something together for people to help them put the words to maybe some things that have been going on in their head, or give them some new ideas about ways that they can frame questions to get
Mhm.
really insightful information to help them. So I'm going to go ahead and promote that.
Thank
And
you.
if you want it, it's free. You just need
It
to go
is.
to CS Insider. You can sign up. It's a free resource. And it really is fantastic. I was blown away by how many questions were in there, and all
Mhm.
the different roles. So great job to you and everyone else who
Yeah.
contributed to that. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. It's we love creating resources. We call them community resources, I would say. And this one was, I mean, obviously it's a labor work of a lot of people here, but we enjoyed it actually,
Mhm.
going through, and by the end of it, when we were done with it, we're like, oh my God, just like how you did. It's like, I can't believe there could be so many questions. And I mean, asking others is there, but there's a section about asking yourself certain questions.
Yeah.
And that was my biggest aha moment, because it was like, oh wow, there's so many questions that you should be asking yourself too. And
Mm.
are you asking those questions? So, but it's a great resource, and then you put it into the, like, you explained it in the best way. Is this is to It may not answer as in, like, I got to do this for, I have to answer all of this, but it's going to give you that strike, that idea that, okay, maybe I should be thinking in this way. I should be, if I'm curious, I could ask this kind of questions, and that could result into some of the answers to the next steps. But that's it. It's the result of being curious.
Well, Ashna, I want to thank you for being curious enough to accept my invitation to come on
Thank
Next
you.
in Queue and have
This was
this
great. Thank you so
conversation.
much. Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Next in Queue is brought to you by Happy To and is produced by me, Rob Dwyer. If you enjoy this podcast, please by all means subscribe and or rate this podcast in iTunes or your favorite podcast app. But more importantly, please tell just one person about this podcast. Word of mouth is the best way for people to discover new content. As always, thanks for listening.